Osio, and welcome to my show, Pathways to the Dream Lodge Cafe. I'm your host, Candice Tarpley, and today my friend Dean Stanton has come to visit with us. He's from the Narragansett Nation, which resides in Rhode Island. He came all the way down to visit us. And he recently became chief of the Narragansetts. Dean, welcome to my show.
Well, Candice, I want to say thank you for having me.
Yes. You know you're welcome.
No, thank you very much. No, this is an opportunity to speak on another level. So I want to thank you for giving me this chance.
Definitely. We want to educate people about your nation and a lot about the East Coast people, because a lot of people don't even know we exist. And, you know, I was reading that Verrazano first discovered, I hate that word, first spotted the Narragansetts in 1524.
Yes, according to what's been written in history.
Yeah,
yes.
in European history. But I've also read that you all have been residing basically in the so-called New England area for like 30,000 years or so.
Yes.
And I love the idea of the long houses, the really long, where 20 or more families could reside. That is so cool, because it's like, you know, everybody is close-knit and they're helping each other. And
see, as you're aware, most Eastern woodland people have a common bond of a long house.
Yes, I love it.
Yes.
And could you tell us how many clans there are in your nation and what they are?
Okay, well, the clans that we have left, I'd have to say we have maybe 5 to 7. Off the top of my head, I know we definitely have a wolf clan, a bear clan, we have turtle clan, and we have other clans also, but those are primarily what we have today.
Yes.
So most of us are related by blood or by marriage. So in our tribe we have approximately 2,700 people.
That's how many are here now?
In our tribe, yes.
Yeah, because the plagues definitely took their toll on the nation, and the thing that I also love is that you weren't forced to leave your area like some like say part of the Cherokee Nation and the so-called 5 civilized tribes had to go out west, and so that's what I really like. But there was a big thing with slavery and plagues that did decimate your nation.
Oh, well, after we lost the King Philip War, us, the Wampanoags, and a lot of the New England tribes, we had people that relocated to different places. We had people that went to Odanak, we had people that went to Wisconsin, people that went to New York, and people spread to the 4 directions. But we had a core group that remained in the state of Rhode Island, and we're still there to this day.
What's the first one you said?
Odanak in Maine, up that way.
Odanak in
Odanak,
Maine?
yes.
Oh.
We had people that went there. We had people that relocated to Brothertown, Stockbridge, Muncie, and we've had people that spread to the 4 directions.
Is there any communication with them now?
Yes. The Brothertown group from Wisconsin, they come and visit us every so many years. We've yet to go out there, and recently we have people that visit, but we have to get back out there in number. But we have ancient ties to those people, and they have ties to us, blood ties, yes.
Great, because I remember the Shinnecocks. I think some of them went out there also.
Yes, them, the Mohegans, the Pequot, Wampanoags, yes.
I'd love to go out there just to say hello.
That would be nice to do.
Yeah,
yes, it would be. Some of the same historic names we have out here, they have out there also.
Well, I wanted to know about some of the female sachems of your nation, because when the Europeans came in, they were male dominated, and the women, I was really surprised to find out that the women of their nations really had no rights. And so I would love for you to tell us about
Oh, in the Narragansett tribe, we've had women leadership for centuries.
Wonderful.
And in more recorded history, we have people like Quiapin, we have Esther, and we have people like that I can think of off the top. But they were definitely sachems, leaders of the tribe, and they had a tremendous say over the tribe and what the tribe did at that time throughout history.
Yes. And I remember we were talking about Weedamo.
Yes, she's probably one of the more well-known
Yeah.
leaders of our tribe. Yes, she had did some good. She was a good person all the way around. Yes.
Yeah, I really love her. She really,
Yes.
you know, she really makes me feel good as a woman and
no.
an East Coast woman.
Oh.
You know, I really, really appreciate.
And most of the tribes from our area, women had a say-so. And they had a
Yes.
place, and they had definite part of society. And since most of us come from matriarchal societies anyway, the women always had a key place in our tribe, you know.
Yeah, that's what I love. And I wanted to know, I know before you became chief, you had another job. Was it deputy of administration?
No, I was director of the tribal administration.
Oh, could you tell us a little bit about that, or if it is possible?
Well, I try to do it briefly. Basically, I worked under the chief sachem. I worked under the tribal council, but I was in charge of the tribal administration. We had 85 contracts for a total of about $7 million.
Ooh.
I was responsible for that, and I got that job in January 1999, and I was there for 19 years.
Wow, that's great.
It kept me busy.
Yeah, I would think so. And so you're being chief now. If anybody could do it, it can be Dean, I would say.
Well, thank you, but the job it's very tough. But one thing I have to remind myself, if you're the chief of your tribe, it's a way of life. I can't consider it a job, but it's a way of life.
This is
Because
true.
you have to do things in a way that benefit the tribal people, and you always have to be responsible and accountable for your actions and what the tribe does and what the tribe will do. So it's a tremendous job and it's a tremendous challenge, but I feel up for it. And
I think you could do
I'm
it.
doing a good job so far.
I think so.
I like to
too.
think I'm doing a good job. Yeah.
I would say so. I definitely know you do. Just knowing you, and I know you're also a champion dancer. You're a powwow dancer, and for those of you who don't know what powwows are, they're like native gatherings where we all come together and hang out and share our culture, meet new friends and family. And Dean and I have danced together many times.
Yeah, you've met many powwows over the last 25, 30 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, and he's a champion dancer, and he's also a veteran who is the arena director for the Pequot Veterans Day dance, which I think is really nice. And the Pequot, in their museum, they have a wonderful museum. For any of you all who haven't been, please go and have a look-see.
Well, I'd like to say about that briefly. It was an honor to be the arena director at the Pequot Powwow, because that was a nice powwow and it was a good time and good people. So I was honored to do that, and I want to say thank you. But the Mashantucket Pequot have a powwow called Skemetsin, and for a while it was one of the biggest powwows in the country.
Yeah.
And you were there. Those were great times in powwow country. But in 11 Skemetsins, when it was the biggest powwow in the country, one of them, in my category, I came in second 5 times, but I managed to win it 6 times though, 4 of those years in a row, and I'm proud of that accomplishment.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good record. 11, I won it 6, came in second 5 times, and I won it 4 years in a row. Not too many people can say that.
No.
So I did all right.
No.
And I've danced at other places in my life. I've danced in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Massachusetts, Connecticut, North Carolina, South Carolina. So the powwow trails kept me pretty busy. But
Yeah.
I've enjoyed myself. You know what I mean?
Please tell our audience what your dance category is.
Well, I dance in the Eastern War Dance category. Now, some parts of the country they call it Eastern Woodland Dancing, but in our area we call it the Eastern War Dance. category. And we tell the stories of our exploits before the battle, during the battle, and after the battle. It's or we could be out reenacting the hunt, or things along that nature. But it's very athletic, and you have to be very athletic to do it. You have to be in good condition, but you have to be able to tell your story in a way where people can relate to the message you're trying to send. It comes from your heart and what's in your mind and your soul, but it translates into action, and it translates into good things and good spirit. It's catching fire now, because before a few people did it, but now more people are doing it throughout the East Coast than before. So it's good. The category is catching on, and I'm proud to be one of the people that helped initiate it.
Yeah, I know you have.
Yes.
I know you have. It's exciting now. Everybody wants to see the Eastern dances because
That's good.
smoke dance, Eastern war, Eastern blanket, which I'm.
Well, I have to thank my tribal elders, though, because more people are getting geared toward more of the Western type dances in the powwow circuit. But our elders said, well, it's good to learn and adopt things, but it's best to never forget where you come from and know your own history, your culture, and tradition. And you have to go back and reinforce those ideas to let the young people know that this is where your culture and tradition begins. So those things are coming back now in a good way, and most Eastern tribes are gravitating toward their own things now, their own way of doing things. So that's always positive, you know. So
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I'm Eastern blanket dancer, and as you well know, and I love my dancing, and I love being around.
I can say I was there when you won the world championship.
Oh yeah.
No,
that's true.
it's tough competition, but I can say you did win it. That they can never take away. And you've been one of the
This is
mainstays in the
true.
category for quite a while, and you helped instruct and teach a lot of people the dance also. So I want that acknowledged and recognized.
No, thank you, thank you. Oh, so you're now federally recognized.
Yes, in April 11th, 1983, that's when we got our federal recognition. We first filed for federal recognition in 1978, so it took us 4 to 5 years to get the documentation together. At the time we filed and got the application complete, we had the most volumes of any tribe in history of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. We had over 27 volumes. Now, some other tribes in the more recent years have more data, but at the time, we had to show from pre-contact to present day activities of our tribe and our tribal council and our chiefs and our tribal activities. And that's quite a bit of time. You're talking a span of over 500 years worth of data we had to have, you know what I mean?
Yes,
produce,
that's
but
true. That's
it did.
true.
Well, we were successful in our attempt to do it, and we were federally recognized in 1983.
Congratulations. I know your powwow, it's in Charleston, right?
Yes, it is.
And so how many, what is it, 300 or 400 years that you've been there?
This will be our 343rd our 344th recorded in this August, the second weekend in August of every year. It'll be our 344th recorded.
Yeah.
But for us, we consider it since time immemorial. We've always had our cultural
This
gatherings
is true. This is true.
during the month of August. That's one of our holy time of the year for us.
This is very true. And I love your what people call Thanksgiving. We call them nanawas. The food is really good.
But we have people that can cook. Yes, yes, you know. We have people who
They have good cooks
they
up
can
there, you know.
cook. No.
So I have definitely enjoyed going up there.
Oh, we've been fortunate to be able to maintain some of our cultural and traditional ways, and I'll always be indebted to the people that came before me, because there's a debt of honor that I try to recognize those people and their activities and what they've done throughout the centuries to keep us in place. Because if they went totally mainstream, our tribe wouldn't even exist.
I know.
And for the handful of people that kept their traditions, cultures going, I'll always have a debt of honor to those people. I'll be indebted to those people for the rest of my life, because they helped maintain the tribe, and in essence, they made me what I am today, you know. So I can't take that for granted.
Oh no, definitely not. And yes, I've met some of the elders, and I've always admired them and loved talking to them. Actually, that's how I, with the Eastern Blanket, I actually talked to a lot of the female elders before I attempted to do that dance. It's such a beautiful dance.
Right.
And I wanted to ask you too, I know someone gave your nation land back because they were having a dispute with the government, and they said,
Well, we've had some people donate land back to our tribe. Right now, we have a total of about over 1,900 acres that we can call our own. Now,
1900?
1900,
Mhm.
1800 of that is part of our settlement agreement with the federal government, but we've given other property since then. But the Crandall Farm in Westerly that you're referring to, that was given back to us by the people, the Crandalls. We had an agreement with those people centuries ago,
Oh.
but they were able to turn it back over to us, which was a nice gesture on their part.
Yeah,
So that was nice.
it's nice land. I remember that powwow, that
Right.
one powwow we had there. That was
Yes,
really
no, we've
nice.
had a few powwows there, but we're doing some farming and things like that out there now.
Oh, what are you growing?
Oh, vegetables,
Yeah.
vegetables, corn, cucumbers, tomatoes, tobacco too. We're doing some things like that.
Oh, that's fabulous.
We had a
I
food
love
we
it.
had a food symposium there. I think it was in June or July. Things went well, and we're trying to do that on a regular basis now. So
Yeah, that's really important with all the pollution and
Yes.
the droughts, and you have to be able to have some sort of food source, and that's a fabulous
and we're trying to do
idea.
it in a natural state and
Yeah.
indigenous with no pesticides or chemicals. We try to do it in a natural way to keep things healthy as possible. So we're trying to do more things along that nature, you know.
Yeah, I had another question too concerning like I know your ancestors and had problems, you know, especially during the reservation time, where they would take kids and make them go to boarding schools. Or was your mother afflicted with that? You know, they take them and not bring them home and.
No, but we've heard tales from years ago and from the elders where they weren't treated properly and they had a tough upbringing and they weren't given a fair opportunity and chance in the system, but they managed to persevere and maintain and survive. So I have to recognize that fact, you know.
Yeah, a friend of mine just did this movie Dawnland about in Maine how they are still just taking the kids for really no reason and mistreating them, and there are people who
Yeah.
they're profiting off of this.
Yes,
You know?
but the fact that it's being, how can I say this? It's recognized as a problem, and it's getting to be broadcast to the world and through social media. Things like that are being monitored a little bit more closely now, so it's not as easy as it was to do those things as it's been in the past. People are more now aware, and there's got to be a cultural awareness where we have to keep the indigenous people together, you know.
Oh, could you please tell us about the organization, Southern and Eastern Nations?
Oh, you're referring to United Southern Eastern Tribes. It's an organization that helps the tribe in ways where they help lobby, they help organize contracts and grants, and they support the tribes in a lot of ways. And it's a chance for the tribes to come together and discuss strategies to take on Washington and whoever else we have to take on and help advance the Native people. United Southern Eastern Tribes. I believe it's the second biggest organization besides the National Congress of American Indians. I think USET now is the second largest.
Because you just went to Washington for a demonstration for the Wampanoags?
Yes, because they had some of their land taken out of trust. So that means they can't do some of the things that they had planned because you have to have some kind of reservation status, or you have to have the federal status to your land, and the federal government took that from them. And I help support them in their rally. The Narragansett tribe has always been supported the Wampanoags because we have intertribal ties that go back for many centuries. They have some of our blood and we have some of their blood, and we have to support them as they support us.
I mean, they're only one of the nations that met the Pilgrims, and for them
Yes.
to say
No,
that it's
no.
utterly ridiculous.
I have to agree, but you have to understand, they had land taken out of trust, but we did too. About 20 years ago, we had applied for land to be put into trust for the purposes of housing in 1991. It took 7 years to get it in federal trust, but the state of Rhode Island continually fought the battle, and we won the battle in all the lower courts, but the state of Rhode Island went to the Supreme Court of the land. Then that decision got reversed, so the 32 acres we were trying to get in federal trust was taken out of trust. The key was we had housing. We wanted to set aside housing for 20 individuals. Now, of those 20 individuals, 19 are now dead. We have one person left alive from the original set-aside for housing. One man is left living. And we still haven't got the issue resolved as of yet. So what happened to the Narragansett tribe first? That led to the Kacheri versus Salazar, the long legal battle, and we're still fighting that fight. And now it's affecting the other tribes that were recognized after 1934. See, that's the part of the problem we have with the federal government, because it's not always a level playing field. If you go through the criteria of being federally recognized, all the tribes should have equal footing and should have the same standards and principles. But it doesn't always apply. And that makes it difficult. Because if you have a settlement agreement, sometimes that can supersede the federal process, and we're finding that out right now. And that's made life difficult for many tribes. Right now it's Massey, but other tribes are affected. There was 127 tribes are affected because they're recognized after 1934.
What does it mean to have put your land in trust?
It gives you reservation status, and it gives you protection under the federal government, where they take the land and hold it in perpetuity for the tribes, but at least the states can't take it back. At least once it's set aside for tribes, it should be forever yours, you know. That's the understanding that we had had, but things don't always apply in that way now.
It sounds as bad as signing treaties that really are.
Well, it is, but see, one thing I got to say about the Shinnecock tribe is this: they have their land, and they've always had their land for time immemorial, and they have the state. They were state recognized, although they're federally recognized. The federal government was trying to say, well, why don't you make a trust application? They're saying, why should we have to? And this land has always been ours. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I had to say, for the record, though, the Narragansett tribe also support the Shinnecock tribe in their efforts, because we have ancient blood ties to those people also.
Yes.
So we've managed to maintain those ties. So we support them in what they do. So we wish them the best of luck.
That's fabulous. I'm glad to see so much support for.
Oh, you have to.
You know, because.
We have some of their blood, and they have some of our blood. So.
Oh, definitely.
We go back centuries, so
yeah.
You can't take that away.
No, I really appreciate you telling us about all this. Oh, by the way, when you mentioned farming, has climate change really affected your area as?
Well, yes, it has. As far as some of the flora and fauna and some of the things that we used to have in the past aren't as abundant anymore. You know, the gypsy moth has really hurt the trees.
Oh, really?
Yes, the red fire ants have ate a lot of trees from the inside out.
Stop.
Yes, we have blight, and we have problems with some of our trees now, and the land's not what it used to be. Our groundwater, where it was some of the cleanest in the state,
yes.
Now we have acid rain that affects that. We still have two of the cleanest pond waters in the state, though, with Deep Pond and Schoolhouse Pond on our tribal land, but it's not as clean as it used to be.
I remember people would bring jugs and to take the
water. Yes, and with acid rain now, we can't eat as much fish from those areas as we used to either. We've been advised not to.
Can you tell us the story of the Lady of the Lake? That wonderful, or is it just something someone made up?
No, there's different stories about the lake, but I can't elaborate in this time.
Okay.
No, I can't do
okay.
that. No.
Okay.
I won't.
It's a beautiful place.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I remember Nancy. One morning, it was so foggy and it was so nice, and her getting in a canoe and just sliding out on the lake. It's in my mind. It was it's such a beautiful.
Well, the water we have is pristine, but we're trying to keep it that way, though. That's gonna be the challenge.